Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have Eric Zager with us today. He's a co-founder of Calculum. He's reinventing how procurement unlocks working capital, improves suppliers' intelligence, and manages supply chain finance programs. You can check him out at calculum.ai. Eric is in Miami. I'm in Oaxaca, Mexico. Eric, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yes, thank you for having me on the podcast, Charles. So, a little bit of an intro about myself. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I come from the space of procurement, so purchasing goods. I was working with the military in a civilian capacity, and then started up Calculum with a team. Most of the team comes from the world of supply chain finance, so financing both receivables and payables for large corporations. And we came up with the idea to start Calculum because we wanted to create a payment terms database where companies could have visibility and transparency into what payment terms the suppliers or their customers are accepting from others in the market, and then use it to benchmark and say, this is what we're going to offer you so that we're not indirectly financing our competition, or at least acknowledge they're getting paid earlier for the payables, later for receivables, and use it to have better leverage in pricing conversations.
Interesting. So give me a use case with one of your existing clients. Like what's your ICP and how are they using you precisely?
Yeah, so our ICP is pretty broad because companies all over the world, no matter how big or small, are negotiating with their suppliers and customers. Today, we work with some of the largest companies in the world, like Roche, Campbell's Soup, Philips Electronics in the Netherlands. And what they're using it for is to negotiate mainly with their suppliers. And this is usually used by procurement and treasury within companies. Treasury typically has working capital teams and initiatives, but procurement owns the relationships with suppliers. So our ICP is, we really don't have any limitations when it comes to industry, region, around the world, the size of the company we work with, or the supplier that we analyze, or the currency of the transaction. That being said, we are working mainly with companies that are focused on working capital. And it's funny because we started the platform and the tool to really help mid-market and smaller companies with cash flow issues. They need it the most. It's the number one reason companies go out of business is lack of cash flow. But we found that we're really attracting the companies that are best at working capital because they're constantly looking at how can they improve and get better. So we're working particularly well with companies in pharmaceuticals, as well as food and beverage, electronics, tobacco. Really, the sweet spot is manufacturing companies, but that doesn't mean that we're limited to not working with wholesale or retail companies as well.
And what are you saying that I don't compete with companies, I compete with their supply chains?
What was the question?
Yeah, on your website it says you don't compete with companies, you compete with their supply chains. Why do you say that?
So that's more of a reference to financing competitors and looking at, what payment terms you can offer them, because your companies are always trying to strengthen their balance sheets, or at least they should be looking at that. It's not just about cost savings and revenue generation. It is about how you handle your receivables, payables, and even inventory. We're going to look at the third leg of the working capital spectrum. But this is a very important thing, and we're giving that transparency. So that's why we say that on the website, is to really, it's important to focus on these terms.
Right. So what you're allowing in simple terms, receivables and payables and cash flow, meaning that sometimes, yeah, like the clients that are about to pay me do not pay me on time. And sometimes I have gigantic expenses that I could technically pay later on, or chop into smaller chunks so that I don't go out of money, in simple terms.
Yes. So looking at not only late and early payments from when you should be getting paid or paying, but also when should that contract date actually be? Maybe it's incorrectly agreed upon 30 days. You're paying on day 25, 5 days early, but that payment term that supplier is accepting from others, a similar buyer profile, is day 60. So having that as an insight is a critical data point, which we're providing to our clients.
Right. Most people hate it when it's net 60. Like me, I don't accept clients that pay me like net 60. I actually hate these. Like, do most big companies operate that way? Is it it an advantage for them not to operate that one to pay their suppliers on time and keep good relationships?
So we're not in the business, and I like to preface this when I'm talking to clients as well or prospects, that we are not in the business of extending terms on the payables or lowering terms on the receivables. We're here to say what is the correct term and also payment method. If you should use a card or a financing program with the supplier, we're trying to find that correct term. And 60 is nothing compared to what I've seen. I've seen upwards of 180 days. Some industries, it depends, like the automotive aftermarket industry, they are close to a year. The suppliers are financing basically the inventory on the shelves, and they're paying for it after almost a year. So it really varies on the industry. In the pharmaceutical space, we're seeing it move from 60 to 90. In the perishable foods, it's much less because you can't pay for milk after it expires, 90 days after it expires. And there's also a lot of legislation here in the US around how you deal with agriculture mainly. We are seeing legislation pop up in other countries more broadly applied. Like in Colombia, there's a new law that went into place last year, 45 days, but only if you're an SME company or small medium enterprise located in Colombia. So we also share what is the legislation limits and what is on the books in these countries and what qualifies as an SME. So we can make sure our clients stay in compliance with the new laws.
And time is one thing, but they also have options to split these payments, possibly like go in partnerships with fintechs that allow to pay the supplier in full, but then they would have to pay like in multiple payments. Is that another way they can have better cash flow? What is your AI normally suggesting to them?
Yeah, so we're looking at, and this is something it dips into the world of supply chain finance or reverse factoring, confirming. These are other terms for it, where a third party, typically a bank or a fintech supply chain finance provider, we work with many of them in the world. We are not processing these payments. We are strictly an analytics engine, providing insights. So we can work with any financing company in the world, and they can step in and pay earlier. What we do provide is insights on the supplier. So we're looking at how much does it cost the supplier to borrow money and how likely would they be to join a supply chain finance program. And with that information, then corporates can approach, or the banks on behalf of the corporates will approach the supplier after the terms are in the right place and optimized for them to join the program and alleviate some of that pressure on their balance sheet and cash flow so that they can get paid earlier and basically finance the supply chain through the bank.
And what do these companies pay you? What's the pricing for Calculum?
So for corporates, it varies on features and number of suppliers and spend. On average, companies are paying, we like to keep it in a realm where it's affordable and makes sense to the ROI. So we're looking at the cash flow opportunity as well. So it really varies. If we're working with a smaller company in an emerging market, we're going to charge a fraction of what we would charge a large conglomerate like Roche or like Campbell's Soup. It's we want to make it have sense, but it's a wide spectrum.
And what does your GTM look like? How do you get in touch with these companies?
Yeah, so the best way that we get in front of these companies, I mean, our preferred way is referral. We've had companies that have referred us to other corporates in the space, also employees that leave existing clients of ours and go to new ones. They come in that way. This is a new offering, so it's something unique in the market right now. So it's a little bit of a curve to get over before companies find out that this is even a solution out there for companies struggling with cash flow and payment terms benchmarking. The most success I found is going to large conferences, mainly around procurement and treasury. There's large conferences like Eurofinance, AFP, DPW in the procurement space, Procuricon. Met a lot of now clients from those events. And then just email and LinkedIn is not as strong, but it's not dead by any means.
Right. And way more precise, I would guess, right? Because conferences, you don't control really who you're talking to. It's more like old school buyers as well, I would say. But yeah, generally a moat, because you'd be the only younger guy stepping in with like that type of technology and talking to them physically and explaining it in very simple terms, right? Tell me a bit more also about the part where you identify weak supplier. That caught my attention.
weak suppliers, you mean?
Yeah.
Identifying.
How do I identify what's a weak supplier?
So I don't know if weak is the right word, but looking at the sustainability of suppliers and also leverage, looking at how much does our client spend compared to that supplier's annual revenue, and looking at their cost of debt and weighted average cost of capital to see where they stand on, their financial health and just overall risk of a supplier. But the sourcing team uses this information to see that and also compare prospective suppliers and have payment terms in this risk profile analysis as part of their decision process when sourcing new suppliers.
And in simple terms, let's say I'm Toyota and I get my bumpers from this company. Let's say that this company is more or less stable. Your software will help me identify that they wouldn't deliver on time because of potential financial issues. Is that what it would do?
So we can look at late payments. Are they paying other companies on time? And also just financial health of a company, estimating, what is going on behind the scenes as best as we can. It's more difficult with smaller private emerging market suppliers, but we provide a lot of information, and that's our strong suit, is looking into the supply chain risks of these emerging market suppliers and also looking to support them as well. Maybe they could use shorter terms in exchange for discount. So we have a calculator looking at that trade-off.
And what's the company that actually takes that data that is saying that they are not financially stable?
So we're looking at many different factors to make determinations of that. We're looking at credit ratings. We're looking at estimating how much revenue they're making, looking at what we have in our database, because they may be working with other companies we've analyzed, and we can capture data on that supplier profile. So we're enriching this data, giving insights into what we've seen historically.
Okay, and you have to pay to get all of that data, or is it per customer request? Because I must guess that this would be quite costly to get all of that data. It's like probably a partnership with one company, and they want you to pay you to have access to that. So how do you do with that?
So it really depends on the data point. I mean, we are analyzing an entire spend file for clients. So they're not paying by company. We don't charge by supplier. We are looking at using a lot of internal estimations, and we always share, in the weeds calculation, how we're doing it with our clients. But we like to have transparency around this, and these are just suggestions. We are just providing analytics and giving confidence to procurement when they are negotiating with suppliers, giving them insights that are not publicly available for them to use to get better pricing or better payment terms.
Right. And the UI that I get as a client, what is it like? Is it the ChatGPT like UI? And I see that you have some graphs here. What does it look like?
So it's a dashboard where you get access to all of your existing suppliers and potential suppliers, which you can upload on a rolling basis. But it's a platform that you can interact with on the macro portfolio level, or also dive down into individual segments of your portfolio or the individual supplier level, which is where most of the time is spent on the tool. On the tool, we can show you who your low-hanging fruits are to approach first, also build out a customized plan, tie it to your category managers and negotiators, and then have a whole module and tracking the execution of that as well. And whether you're reaching out to them or we're reaching out on their behalf, we have an email tracking tool where we are contacting them. And then on the individual supplier level, all the insights on payment terms, financial and rating metrics, the calculator trade-off, looking at, should we offer them supply chain finance? Should we offer them virtual card as payment? Are they accepting it from others? Should we do dynamic discounting with this supplier? And is this supplier an SME? Who's their parent company? And also track results. So the category managers can go in and say, what was achieved? I put feedback in for the negotiation, and then they can pick back up when they go to renegotiate next year.
You started that companies almost 5 years ago. That I believe ChatGPT 3 wasn't even a thing back then. Did you started the company AI first or not? And how has it evolved since then?
No, and no AI involved in the beginning. I wish it was around, because a lot of the data that we were gathering to do it was a lot of manual work, and it would have been a lot easier with ChatGPT. And to be transparent today, we are not super reliant on AI today. It's just advanced algorithms that we're using. AI more comes into this realm of enrichment of supplier profiles. The actual calculation is just looking at benchmarking into our database and historical acceptance based on attributes around the supplier and the buyer. So although we do market ourselves as AI, AI is a big word, and we're actually considering moving away and dropping the AI part of it because it's sometimes caused more problems than it's solved for us. It's a hindrance for large corporates. Sometimes they're like, oh, you're an AI company, and then we have to go through all these hoops, and it makes it a very long sales cycle. So, and it's not something that's required for us. So,
interesting. So these big companies, when you mention the word AI, they have to go through like extra compliance. I haven't
times,
heard
yeah.
that before.
It sets off an alarm, and now we need to go through all AI compliance and huge security questionnaires that we would not have had to if we were not AI. So, and they're developing these teams within large corporates, AI teams for this compliance.
Interesting. You raised, I believe, almost 5 million. When are you planning to raise another round again?
So we're currently raising now. So this is we're hopefully closing the round by the end of August. But yeah, we're in the process of raising.
Interesting. And what's your process when it comes to raising? Are you in charge of it? Do you send a cold email, etc.?
So we get a lot of inbound from investing. Thankfully, is because I was more involved in the last round. This round, it's been mostly Oliver, our CEO, that's managing that, and the other co-founder of Calculum. So he's managing that, and he's handling all those conversations.
When it comes to hiring, are you the one in charge? How do you select like new team members?
So no, I'm not the only one in charge of that. We are, we work as a team as well. We want to make sure that everybody not only has the skills and the competence to work here, but also gets along with the team and is on the same energy, the same vibe, because we are, sharing a mission. And also we want them to be able to share the vision with us. So it's super important that everybody's involved in that decision-making process, whoever's going to be working with them. We are a small company, so we have about 25 employees today. And so it's very important everybody gets along.
Right. And what does a day in your co-founder life looks like?
Well, it depends I wear a lot of hats within Calculum. So I'm doing a lot of sales recently, a lot of a product as well, managing data ingestion, data procurement, business development, meeting partners and existing clients as well. So I travel a lot for work, going to different conferences around the world, and then also go to the headquarters of our clients to get them to resign, use more features, and anything else in between all those duties. So my day is pretty full. I don't go to bed until 2 a.m. every night.
How was the transition for you from the military to Calculum?
So I was in a civilian capacity, so I was never serving in the military, but I could wear a shirt like this to work. But I was working with a lot of uniformed service members, and it was great working there. I learned a lot, but it's a very different aspect. And I also worked for Marriott International, so I got the three realms of a Fortune 500, public service, and then startup life. For me, my personality, I really enjoy the startup life. The military, it's very structured and more laid back, where you have recurring duties every week, and it doesn't change too much on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis. And you're pretty much confined into what's outlined in your statement of work or the job description as to what you're doing. And it's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy. So I don't miss that, but I understand people that enjoy that as well, because it's very predictable. My life now is very unpredictable with this job. So it's, and Marriott and Fortune 500s are somewhere between the two, but there's a little less red tape, a little less structure, but a lot more than a startup.
And what do you have to say to people that think that procurement is boring? Is it boring for you, or is it something to be solved and something that drives you?
No, I don't think procurement is boring. I mean, sourcing falls under procurement, finding new sources and risk mitigation for supply chains. I think that COVID made a lot of people aware of how important procurement and logistics are. A lot of times they fall under that procurement department. And it's necessary for our world to run. So everything that we enjoy needs to be purchased, and you want the responsibility to be in the hands of people that are responsible and can buy good products. We all want to use quality products in our day-to-day life, and you want to get better pricing so that the consumer gets better pricing and it isn't ripped off by suppliers. So it's every job could be boring. It really needs to attract the right personality for that job, and it can make it fun. And you work with great people, and you get to travel around the world and see these factories in in Asia and Latin America, and see where do your products come from. And I work with a lot of CPOs and procurement excellence, and everybody I met is a very amazing person and has a very interesting life. So you can make everything fun. Even accountants, I think, enjoy their jobs if they're good at it. And so yeah, or you can find boringness in every job too.
Interesting. And what's next for you this year for your company?
So we just rolled out an API, so now we can feed directly to ERP systems. We are also looking at, and more on the realm of risk mitigation, is looking at their second and third tier suppliers. So the suppliers of the suppliers, and looking at risk and also alternative sources for products so that companies can have insights not only on mitigating risk in their supply chain, but also payment terms insights before they start a relationship with the supplier. So that's a big thing that we are rolling out this year. And then also doing the receivables, we're really trying to grow. We've been talking mostly about payables today, but we are flipping the model this year. And now we can support on receivables. So working with accounts receivables and more sales teams to help them push down on payment terms and get paid sooner.
Love it. Where can people find out more about you, Eric?
So about me personally, on my LinkedIn, just Eric Zager, and you can find me under the Calculum page, or on our website, calculum.ai has a lot of good information about that. You can also send me an email directly, Eric, ERIC, @calculum.ai.
So that was Eric and Charles for another